Welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and on my channel I focus on food, growing it, preparing it, and preserving it. I do 3 videos a week. On Sundays, it's typically a garden harvest, or other type of food preservation video. Tuesdays, it's a cook with me video where I focus on quick, easy, healthy, nutritious, and delicious meals that you can usually get onto your table in 30 minutes or less. And on Friday, it is all about freeze drying. So today I'm going to have a couple of repeats on here, but I am also doing an experiment that I wanted to share and see how it comes out. So we're repeating zucchini and yellow summer squash. I had 3 relatively large zucchinis that came in, as late bloomers in the garden, and then 1 nice size summer squash. And I use these as food filler in meals that I cook. I use them every week in my dog food. I use them in powder form to turn them kind of into a flour that you can use as a flour or breadcrumb replacement. So very versatile here with a lot of nutrition. Over here I have ginger. I have done ginger before, and I powdered it down the last time. This time I'm going to leave it as is, and what I'm hoping to get out of this is something I can make back into a paste. So something that's not a super fine powder, but something that would resemble the paste that it was when I ran this through my food processor. And over here, these are cucumbers. So this is the absolute last of the cucumbers from my garden. My plants have succumbed to disease. They're done for the season. And I had some pretty good sized cucumbers that I didn't want to go to waste. So what I did was I made my spicy cucumber salad with them and let them marinate in the fridge for 2 days. I'll post a link to the video with this recipe on it if you're interested. But this is a marinade that includes a tiny bit of sesame oil, and I chose to include that because these are not going to be going into long-term storage, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Also has some red pepper flake, some fresh cilantro, some soy sauce, but I use the coconut aminos. So a whole lot of yumminess over here. This salad is amazing. I am not hoping to be able to rehydrate cucumbers back into anything that's going to be edible in a texture good way, but I'm hoping I can get some snacking chips out of these. The flavor profile in that sauce is, like I said, it's incredible. So this is an experiment. So this is all about experimenting. I do have multiple layers of cucumbers in here. I have 4 layers, and I actually have the silicone tray mats. I own 3 of those. So I've got 3, 1 on the bottom and then up, and then 1 piece of parchment paper. So we shall see if this works. I've got my freeze dryer started. I've set it for an extra 15 hours of dry time, especially since I have multiple layers of the cucumbers and a pretty dense tray here filled with the ginger paste. So we might need more time than that. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's head over to the freeze dryer. Let's see how this turns out. Freeze dryer is ready to go. I just need to load the trays. Got our beautiful tray here of ginger paste, those cucumber chips, layers of those, shredded zucchini, and a split tray of shredded zucchini and yellow summer squash. With our food loaded, I can go ahead and close the door, close the drain valve, and then press continue on the machine. This is going to go through a freezing phase, which is not going to take very long because the food is pre-frozen. Then it's going to go into a sublimate phase. It's going to extract all of the moisture out of the food in the form of gas, trapping it against the inside drum. It's going to go into a drying phase where that gas is going to liquefy and turn into ice. And then it's going to go into an extra dry phase. Again, I have mine set at 15 hours. We might need longer, but I will bring you back when we are at that point. We're going to test it and we'll see. All right, let's see how dry these are. There is quite a bit of ice buildup on the inside of the machine here. It has been going for 54 hours. I'm going to open the drain valve to release the pressure. And let's take a look at what we've got. I have no doubt that the squash is dry. Yeah, feels very, very dry. No doubt on that at all. No doubt on this one either. No doubt whatsoever. The ginger paste, let's hope that's dry. I'll do a closer examination when we get into the kitchen, but hopefully dry. And let's take a look at our cucumber chips. All right, those look great. Let's look at all the different layers in here when we get into the kitchen. I'm excited to see how that came out. All right, I've got 2 trays stacked right here with the summer squash on it. We've got the ginger paste here and the cucumber chips here. I think I'm going to start with the ginger, and I am going to put that into just some quart-sized jars because I want to make sure it's totally dry. I didn't do the weigh process during the drying process here, honestly, just because I was super busy with work. So I will keep an eye on this for the next week and just make sure that it looks like it is staying dry, not getting clumpy. This is actually powdering down really nicely. I don't want to put it through the Vitamix like I did with the last batch I did, because that really did powder it down. And I want this to come back together into a paste. So I'm just gently separating this out of a clump into semi-loose pieces. And that's also giving me the opportunity to feel for any cold spots. This smells amazing. I like ginger. I have a ton of ginger freeze-dried. So I have it now in this form. I have it in the completely powdered down form. And I've also got, oh gosh, probably 10 pounds of it sliced and freeze dried that I use mostly in the winter to make ginger tea. I'm more of a tea drinker in the winter when the weather's cold than I am in the summer. It's very strong. It's getting up my nose a little bit. I think this is going to work out great. I will leave a little bit out and we will stir this back up into a paste and make sure that I'm going to get the desired results that I'm looking for. All right, let me set that one aside for a second and let's move on to jar number 2. I think I can get this whole tray into 2 quarts. And I think that was what's about almost 2.5 pounds of ginger, which would be about right because I have the original Harvest Right freeze dryer medium, which holds up to 2.5 pounds of food per tray. And if I had thought this through just a little bit more, I probably would have done the squash first, because I'm not going to be able to wash my hands in between touching all of this food, because if there's any moisture left off my hands, it's going to ruin the freeze-dried food. So should have thought that through a little bit better. I'll just maybe use my left hand on the rest of the food. That is perfect. I'm going to get most of this up, leaving out just a little to rehydrate. All right, I'm going to set just this little bit aside and we will get to that in just a minute. Next, I'm going to get my zucchini into a 1 gallon glass jar. I'm going to leave it shredded for now, but I can always powder this down into, I'm going to try to use my other hand, powder it down into zucchini flour, just like I did with the roasted eggplant. It makes an amazing substitute for flour or you can do a percentage of vegetable flours in with your wheat flour to bulk up on the nutrition and also cut down on some of the carbs and calories. So if I leave these shredded, it will give me more options. I use shredded zucchini every week in my homemade dog food. So I want to leave it intact, if only for that reason. It gets used a ton. I also use it to make zucchini bread. You can throw it into meatloaf. You can throw it into soups, sauces, just to bulk up the nutrition and bulk up the food itself too. It makes the meal stretch a little bit farther, which helps these days. Especially if you grow your own and you get inundated with them, you can find good use for them. All right, looks like I'm going to get just about a gallon. Of course, if I were to powder this down, it would be next to nothing. And I know I've already shown this, but my Freeze Dry Friday videos are literally what I do with my freeze dryer every week. So sometimes there will be repeats. All right, that's done. I'm going to go ahead and get the lid on that. So a gallon of shredded zucchini. Now over here I have some yellow squash. It looks like that was done at 3 different times because the bottom section is a little bit lighter than this section, and this section will be even brighter because it's more recent out of the freeze dryer. But this also gets used every week in dog food, and that's about all I use the yellow shredded squash for. For some reason, I much prefer the green zucchini to the yellow summer squash. It's probably just a mental thing because they probably taste very, very similar in flavor and in texture, but I just prefer the green zucchini. All right, I can get that lid on. And now I need to grab lids for the ginger paste. And I reuse canning lids for dry storage like this. It's one of the reasons why I don't like to write on top of the lids when I can, because I don't like having something in the jar that's not representative of what's written on the jar. It's just a thing with me. That's why I use a Sharpie to write what is in the contents of my canned jars versus on the lids. All right, those can sit like that for just a minute. I will put an oxygen absorber in these. I'll put a 50 cc oxygen absorber in because these, at least one of them, won't be opened for a while. So let's get to these cucumbers, the star of today's show. Oh gosh, look at these. These look amazing. All right, I am dying to give these a try. We've got really good color on these. Some of the seasoning has even stayed on. I think that looks incredible. All right, let's see if they're a chip. They snap like a chip. They definitely crunch like a chip. Yeah. Those are absolutely fantastic. I'm trying to decide if I like the flavor profile on them. I really, really liked it, you know, when I first made it as a fresh cucumber salad. It's not that I don't like it. I'm actually trying to decide if I would like to do this again with a different flavor profile. These are amazing. They are just like a chip. So happy I did this, but we have to see what the ones down below look like. So let me get these into a jar. This is a phenomenal snack food. Instead of a potato chip, a greasy, delicious but unhealthy potato chip. I am excited about these. These ones feel good too. Just as dry and crunchy. I think it's the soy sauce in here that's throwing me just a little bit. I think that doing these again, I would add just a little bit of soy sauce, not quite so much. I didn't add all that much, but that soy sauce flavor is really coming through. And I do like soy sauce, and I did use coconut aminos, not real soy sauce. But I can see where I would not be able to eat like a ton of these because it's kind of a sharp flavor, a sharp, salty flavor. I like it. I wouldn't be able to sit down and eat a whole jar, which we shouldn't be snacking like that anyway, so I guess it's okay. These are wonderful. These ones are dry as well. So I am so excited that I did this. This was the last of my garden cucumbers, and I hesitated because I thought, oh gosh, what if these don't come out good? That's all I've got for the year. But they came out great. All right, so that yielded about half a gallon. I would certainly do that again, and I would certainly load the freeze dryer up with that. I would cut back just a little bit on the soy sauce and think of something else I could add. I don't know, maybe some yogurt or something. Maybe even some yogurt mixed with some garlic and some ginger. Maybe even like a tzatziki sauce. Wouldn't that be funny, doing a tzatziki sauce on top of cucumbers? But that actually might be pretty good with some red pepper flake in it. I'm going to play around with that idea, and next year I'm going to do a whole bunch of these. All right, let's get some stuff rehydrated once I clean up this mess. All right, I went ahead and I put one of the cucumber chips in a bowl. I've got both the green and the yellow summer squash in here, and I've got the pureed ginger in here. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water. I think this one's going to take quite a while to rehydrate because it is so crispy, but it's a vegetable, so I'm not worried about how much I put in there. It's only going to absorb as much water as it needs to refill its cells, and that is true as well for this squash. But because this is a powder almost, and we are looking for a certain consistency because we want it to be paste, I am going to be careful about how much water I add in here. So a little bit at a time, mix it around, and see, we are almost there. Look at that. That, my friends, is ginger paste. Wow. Look how easy that was. I'm not going to be having to peel ginger, maddeningly so, whenever I want to cook with some fresh ginger. This is amazing. Super excited about that. I'll taste that in just a second. This is already fully rehydrated. It's only been a couple of seconds. We'll take a look at that. And this, as I thought, this is going to take a while. So it feels just a little bit slick on the outside, but still totally hard. I'm not planning on rehydrating these. I just wanted to show you. All right, let's give that ginger paste a taste just a little bit because it's going to be really strong. Oh yeah, that's really strong. It's amazing. Look at that. It's beautiful. I almost feel bad wasting that. Maybe I'll find something to do with that for dinner tonight. For the squash, this was hydrated in seconds. You can see how easy that would be to add to some ground beef for meatloaf or hamburgers. You can put it in your pasta sauces or your pasta dishes that you bake with a marinara or pasta type sauce. Garden fresh zucchini. Let's try the yellow. There is a different flavor profile. I don't cook much with yellow squash, but I definitely like the green better. But if you know me at all by now, you know I love my vegetables. This is good. I'm happy to have that. I'm not at all looking forward to trying this half hydrated cucumber chip, but we're gonna go for it. So it's getting soft, but it's definitely not hydrated yet. I can't really even pull it apart. There we go. It's definitely still firm on the inside. Oh my gosh, the flavor is there. This is what the cucumber salad tastes like, and that is amazing. Texture's definitely off. The cucumber is definitely softer, slicker. I'm trying to avoid saying a word that starts with SLI when we're talking about food, but the flavor is incredible. Mm. Mm. So that tells me that the flavor profile changed just because the liquid was extracted from it, which completely concentrated the flavors that I used. So I just have to kind of back off those a little bit if I'm going to be freeze drying them. But I'm going to call that a success. Thank you so much for joining me again for another edition of Freeze Dry Friday, Cucumber Chip Edition. My name is Kelly. You're at A Better Choice Homestead, and I do hope you come back and visit again soon.